Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ham Radio Basics Live, Season 3, Episode 30, Ham Radio News and Updates, August 27, 2025. I want to thank everybody for understanding last week. I had one of those absolutely, positively, off-the-wall, crazy work week. It was just, I didn't have a chance to almost even breathe last week. It was that crazy. So that's why there was no show last Wednesday. I got caught up. I had so much to do. There just wasn't time, but we have a good show lined up tonight. Cooley, welcome. Good to see you here. Thanks for stopping by. Waypoint, New England. Thank you for stopping by, my friend. Awesome. Great job. I'm going to be devoting the whole show. We're going to be talking about the new Icom transceiver coming out here. I thought it would be really appropriate to take some time to talk about that. Stephen, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Because it's really kind of a game changer, and it's a game changer, I think, in a great way. And, one of the things I'll say is, most manufacturers, for years, people have been saying things and providing really good suggestions to Yaesu, both Yaesu and Icom. And, a lot of times I feel they kind of fall on deaf ears. And I think a lot of times their marketing departments are not really in touch with the ham radio community. But with this new radio that's come out from Icom, I really think they listened. I mean, it kind of feels very gratifying that, they went ahead and they are making a new radio that's coming out that's really answers a lot of great points that have been made by hams over the years about the 7300. They've incorporated it here. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to take a quick look at the press release. Now, the press release came out on August the 23rd from Icom. And as you guys know, this was released at the Tokyo Ham Fair. And our good friend, Mr. Ray Novak, did it. And Josh had him on Ham Radio Crash Course. They had a live show. Was a tremendous feat, being able to pick that up from Tokyo like that. But this was a press release that came out. Icom has introduced the new IC7300 MK2 HF50 70 megahertz transceiver JARL Ham Fair 2025, August 23rd, 24th. Initial shipments are planned by the end of 2025. 70 megahertz available in the European version. Just that's just to let people know that right away. Now, it does go over some bullet points here, and I'm going to touch briefly on these. Then I have a couple other slide decks, and I want to kind of give and share a lot of my thoughts on it. First off, obviously, it's a 7300. Okay, you look at it at the face value, it's a 7300. I mean, what can I say? And to me, I think I love my Yaesu radios, don't get me wrong, but I really think as far as an HF transceiver, I think this is the jack of all trades. It does everything. It does it extremely well. It's easy to use, okay? And I can't stress that enough. The 7300 is a very straightforward, very basic, easy to understand. The menu system, it's like when you drive, and I talked to Ray Novak about this when I was at Hamcation last year, and he kind of compared it, driving like, say, one General Motors product from, say, Chevrolet, and then driving another General Motors product from Buick, that, basically they're the same. And really, the nice thing about the 7300, you look at the menu system on the 705, I mean, they're very similar. I mean, it's very easy. If you know how to use one, you know how to use the other. It's really that simple. and it's very straightforward. It's intuitive, and I think that's the thing that really sells a lot of these radios. And it's at a great price right now. You can probably get them under $1,000 right now. I haven't gone out to look at what prices are, but one of the things, and this is a tip for when it's going to be coming closer, is you're going to see places like HRO and Gigaparts and DX Engineering and Richard in Texas. They're going to be dropping, their prices are going to drop and they're going to go down. And I think that's a real bellwether on and knowing when that's a real bellwether in knowing when that release is going to happen. Now, here in the United States, while this was officially announced at the Tokyo Ham Fair, you do know, and people understand that it needs to get FCC approval. Okay, and I don't know if that's gotten an FCC approval or not. I think that's something I'll follow up on, and we'll check on that probably going into next week. But that's kind of the telltale sign on when this is going to come out. You'll see price drops on the 7300. The 7300, Stephen, it's a desktop type radio. It's not really portable per se. It's meant for in-home use or in shack use per se. Okay. All right. Enhanced performance, improved RMDR and phase noise performance, carefully selected components, and optimized DC power design. RX standby consumption reduced by about 23%. First for Icom HF radios, HDMI port for connecting to a large external display, built-in CW decoder, decode Morse code without a PC. Other highlights, separate receive antenna connector for RX antennas, filters, and preamps, USB Type-C and dual virtual COM ports for simultaneous FT8 and logging operations, built-in local area network for easy remote operation with optional RSBA, no server PC required, supports newly allocated 5 megahertz band. That's 75. Obviously, that was a typo. The European version, packed with features for series operators. The IC7300 MK2 is ideal for contesting and DX hunting. Okay, that's just to kind of get your kind of up to speed here. Now, there's been a number of videos that have come out about the 7300, and I just kind of want to go over them. I do have a list, and I'm going to be coming out with one shortly myself as well too, because I really do think it's going to be a game changer. I firmly believe that here. Now, Hayden's come out with one. Ape's come out with one. It's a very good one right there. This is Icom UK. This is Icom Japan right here. And they're both they're exactly the same videos basically. Icom Unveils IC7300. You can see, and that's a announcement from Ray Novak with Josh right there. And you see some other ones have some breaking news. IC7300 unveiled. This is another one from Icom. Again, that's the same video. It's 2 minutes, 48 seconds. It's still great, just cheaper. Yeah, somebody had put that out a little bit ago here. And then analysis, a video podcast of the 7300. Tokyo steals the show, Tokyo Ham Fair. So there were a lot, there's been a lot. It's really caused a lot of great discussion here. Yeah, Jeff, I am too. And we're going to talk about that next week. I do want to, I tossed a coin and I wanted to do 7300 this week. And next week, we're going to talk about Icom's coming out with a IC5200. So we will talk about that as well. So, but all in all, I mean, it's something. And I want to go over, I put a comment out there on Twitter, on X, and this was on Ape's video. And, I really kind of thought, it really, to me, let me bring that up here. Okay. What excites me is that Icom finally listened to the ham radio community. all excellent improvements. CW decoder, HDMI port, USB-C, cleaner signals. I agree about the price, 1,400 to 1,500 range. Icom can take my money now. And it's all true. It really is. First of all, people have been asking for like an HDMI port for a long time. So Icom took care of that. USB-C, Icom has taken care of that. A built-in CW decoder. Okay. That's invaluable. All right. Especially for a lot of people like me who don't know CW and, maybe it might pique my interest in being able to learn how to do it. I mean, it's not easy. It's a very much an acquired skill, and it really makes it kind of nice because you can go and find CW being transmitted on a station, and it'll decode it for you right there, right in the front of your radio and on the display, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think that really kind of will open up the door maybe for a lot more people to get interested in CW. I think that's a really good thing that they're doing here. Cleaner signals. It really sounds like Icom has really taken some time and improved. From what I read, like adjacent channels, there's a lot less bleed over. Stronger signal strength. I think that's really good. Also, let's see, the HDMI port, being able to hook up an external monitor. Wow. I know so many of my friends have done that with their 7300, but they've had to not with they didn't have an HDMI port to do it with. And, it really takes a lot of craftiness to be able to do that. And they've done it, and they've had to use other software to show the display on the screen because it wasn't native to there. But boom, it's up there. I mean, it's Icom's had that for a while on some of their transceivers. I think this is a great step for Icom. I think this is absolutely fantastic for them. Let's see, USB-C cleaner signals. It also talks about, and let's go back here, and I really kind of wanted to. I put a little slide together here, and let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and share that. Okay. Key features of the IC7300 MK2: enhanced performance, improved receiver, RMDR, and transmitter phase noise for better signal clarity. And I think that is something that is fantastic. HDMI port allows connection to a large external display for an improved user experience. You can't beat that. Okay. And I know most of you young ones like my age, eyesight, it's I still have my eyesight is still good, and of course I need I've needed my glasses ever since probably about sixth grade. But having that external display up there, having that very large, that's really makes it for a great experience on there. I can't say that enough. And then built-in CW decoder, decode Morse code without needing a separate PC. I mean, that's wow. I mean, that's right there. It's right on the radio. I think that's absolutely fantastic. USB Type C, dual virtual COM ports for simultaneous FT8 and logging. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, that is just absolutely fantastic to have those on the 7300 MK2. External antenna connector, excuse me, a separate connector for an additional RX antenna, preamps, or filters. That's going to come in really handy for a lot of people. And again, I know a lot of people had been asking for something like that as well. Integrated local area network enables remote operation using the optional RSBA1 software without needing a server PC. That's big. That's really, really big. Improved power efficiency, lowered RX standby current consumption, which results in reduced heat generation. That's always a good thing. And then, of course, the new 70 megahertz band that's only available over in Europe. So, this is something, like I said, to get excited about. I think a lot of people are really looking forward to this. I know I've watched quite a few of the videos that have come out there already. And I agree. I think overall, I think as far as a price increase is concerned, there's going to be a price increase, $1,400, $1,500 range. I think that's very reasonable based on the feature set that's going to be in the 7300 MK2 versus what's in the 7300. And also, I mean, this is a good time just to let you guys know, I know a lot of guys use a 7300 out for doing POTA. I mean, they have a carry sack for it or a case, and there's a lot of videos out there on that. So this is a chance to maybe get a second 7300 if you have one as a base station at home that you can use for POTA if you want to. I wouldn't suggest soda. That would be kind of cumbersome to do something like that and extremely heavy. But definitely for something like POTA, I think that's something that you can manage. Obviously, on a day where the weather is very favorable, where you're not going to get a lot of precipitation is concerned. But I think, a lot of people do that. I see there's a lot of videos out there. I was very surprised to see that when I went out on YouTube to take a look at them. That's great. And also, too, you think about this, too, is let's say you're going to go ahead and get the 7300 MK2 and you have a 7300 at home. You can just use that for doing POTA if you want to do something like that. I mean, that's that's something I'd recommend doing. I mean, if that's something that interests you and using that 7300. And again, there are a lot of videos out there on how to do that. A lot of these cases, somebody bought a Pelican case, which they're not cheap, and really, did an outline and plucked the foam. I watched the video on it, and it fits like a glove in there. There's plenty of room for it. And he's even got a little pouch for some accessories to be able to put in there, like the mic and some other cables and things. Fantastic. And it's something, if that's something that interests you, fine. Or, if you want to go ahead and sell that, obviously you're going to need to probably, you're going to have to be wise in how you price things like that. But I think all in all, I think you'll be able to sell that fairly easily. So I really think there's going to be a lot of interest in this, with adding things like an HDMI port, adding things like USB-C, adding a CW decoder on there. I mean, just a lot of things people have been asking for. Icom is listening to this, and I think this is a good thing. And I think, I really like to see, it's kind of funny because it kind of follows on the heels of, the Yaesu with the FTX1, and they really ended up listening to people, well, why can't we put that, mount that in the car and have the separate head unit? And then lo and behold, we're not going to be doing anything about that. Next thing you know is they're coming out with cables to be able to do something like that. So haven't seen any reviews, and I wanted to go out there and take a look and see. And I don't know if any of you guys have seen them on those new cables for the FTX1 Optima and seeing how that kind of setup works. I'd really like to watch one of those and seeing how somebody will mount that, say, behind their third seat or in the truck or the second seat, where their storage area, and run a cable up to the dash for the head unit, see how all that works. I'm really interested to do that. But again, Yaesu did end up responding, and they responded in a positive way. So that's a good thing. So, getting these manufacturers to start to think for about their customers, that's very welcome news, and that's very good. And Icom does not disappoint. I'll tell you that. Neither does Yaesu. Obviously they had some bumps with the FTX1 Optima when it came out, but it's getting better. Oh wow, Jeff, that'd be you know what? Seriously, I'm really keen on seeing something like that. See how that works in a vehicle. I think that would be a great radio in a vehicle. Excuse me. Really, really, really like the idea of that. I think that's going to bode very well as far as that's concerned. Um, the timing of this was great. I'm going to go back and compare kind of what Yaesu did with the Optima when they finally said it was actually going to be available in stores. The timing of that was very much in time with Hamvention in Dayton back in May. And I think, and like I've said, and you guys have heard me say that, is I think they kind of rushed it to be able to get that out because they were, they had a very high presence and visibility at Hamvention. Of course, HRO was there, Gigaparts was there, DX Engineering was there, and I know they probably sold a lot of those units out there. And then, lo and behold, some firmware issues and the like. But what's nice about this is, they've made this announcement, and that's the one thing I like about ham radios is, they make an announcement well ahead of time, and it's at least 4 or 5 months out before the end of the year, before December. So that gives them time to get a lot of inventory together and to be able to get it out to dealers, and also for beta testers to flush this out and to look at the 7300 MK2, to test the HDMI port, to test the CW decoder, to test the USB ports, to test that new RX only antenna out there. Just some, a lot of things that need to be tested, and it gives them enough time to be able to do that, so they don't have to rush something like this. Because, let's realistically, looking at the end of the year, the thing that we have to look forward to, and obviously Hamvention is in February, so if it comes in December kind of time frame, I think it's definitely going to be here before Hamcation is concerned in February. I think that'll be a very realistic possibility. So so I think that the pressure is not going to be on Icom to say, we need to get this out the door ASAP, because Hamcation is coming up and we want to be able to sell units at Hamcation. No, I think that Icom is going to play it right. They're going to test it. They're going to make sure this and do a release when it's been thoroughly beta tested. And as Jeff just pointed out here, there's still some issues to work with on the FTX 1F. Yeah. And see, Jeff, to me, because that's what I do. I do quality assurance testing, software testing for a living. And one of the things for me is, if I put something into production and it's not working, that's going to fall on me. That's going to fall on the developers. Me not doing my job and testing that thoroughly and vetting that out before something like that gets to production. And I've never done that, okay, because I'm a very, very thorough in terms of what I test before it gets into production. I really spend a lot of times, and what helped me be a good, what I think a great tester, was that I started out as a programmer / developer years ago when I started in IT, and that made, I think, all the difference in the world. I think that makes me a good tester. And here it translates here, to product and product testing as well too, because you guys know, I do product testing for, a lot of HTs that have come across. I did a review on the 705. I'm going to get the 7300 MK2. We'll do a review on that as well. And I do the same thing on my drone channel. Excuse me. Got a frog in my throat here. But all in all, this is something to look forward to. It's going to be coming up at the end of the year for Icom, and I don't see any reason why not. And I think if they build in what I think a good buffer of time to actually physically release the product at the end of December, it'll be nice if be ready for Christmas. I mean, I wouldn't mind finding that under my tree. Hint, hint to my beautiful wife. Okay. And I think a lot of you wouldn't mind that either. And because, they're building on some great history here with the 7300. That's been a great transceiver for them. It's sold quite a few units. I think they said they sold over 100,000 of those units. I think I saw something about that. And so that's all I got for today. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching me on X, on Twitter as well too. Really appreciate that as well. And thank you for understanding last week. That just came up, and I just got slammed last Wednesday. It was one of those days. It was just a total slam day. Next week, I'm going to try to get some information on the 5200. And we'll talk about that as well too, because I know Jeff's interested in it. I know a lot of people are as well too. Jeff, thank you. Cooley, thank you. Stephen, thank you. Waypoint New England, my friend, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate that. Okay, you're watching me Tuesday night and Wednesday afternoon. That doesn't get any better than that. You get a gold star in my book, my friend. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy it. And as always, remember, it's a great day to make a QSO. 7 threes, everybody.